Welcome, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. You know what's up. It is Wednesday, and we have a very special guest today. We have Mr. Matt Tuck of Bullet for My Valentine. How you doing tonight, bro?
What's up? I'm good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Dude, yeah, I'm well, keeping up with the metal world, the tours, and all of that. And I mean, I guess we'll just kick it off because you guys, I saw when y'all were teasing it. I'm like, okay, we know what's going on here. You know, you mess with the Instagram, we do the cryptic messages. All right, some kind of fun anniversary tour, and it was cool that you and Trivium were planning at the same time. So it was instantly like, okay, we got Bullet and Trivium.
Yeah.
So it's got to be something with Ascendancy and the Poison. And when you guys announced that, again, as a person that grew up with like 2000s metalcore and like those classic bangers, dude, how has the reception been, I guess, on your guys' end so far, just from the announcement of that?
Yeah, it's been pretty special, man. You know, we kind of knew deep down that it was going to be kind of something that the fans of both our bands, plus, metalheads of that generation would really be excited about,
Hmm.
But to actually like have the announcement and then to actually see it in reality was cool, man. It felt nice, It just felt like I don't know, it just felt special. It feels like people are really on board with it. It just shows the kind of the fan base that both our bands have. Um, and yeah, just amazing, man. Just really humbling. We've done a lot of things in the last 20 years, and you kind of forget kind of how important certain things are. And our debut record, there's not many bands that can, pull off a debut like that, and 20 years later still be as relevant and as big and still getting better by each album.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm personally really proud of, and yeah, it's just been not overwhelming, but it's been very humbling, and yeah, couldn't be happier. So it's been great. So thank you, everybody.
Dude, of course. Well, I mean, it was fun because I remember growing up back in my time, and I heard you guys actually first, funny enough, through Need for Speed Most Wanted, Hand of Blood.
Yeah,
That was the first bit of Bullet I ever heard. And I was like, what is this perfectly angsty music to drive from the cops from? You know what I mean? And like
yeah.
hearing it in soundtracks like that, and then you guys expanding as well, and then everyone getting more and more into you guys like. During the Poison, is there any song you look back now that you are particularly like nostalgic about, whether it was like the time and place you guys were writing it, or is it just the album as a whole? Like what was that for you, I
Yeah.
guess?
I think if there was two songs I had to pick to kind of that takes me right back to that moment and that time and that era, it's Tears, Don't Fall, and All These Things I Hate.
Right.
Purely because I knew that when I was writing them that they were fucking great. You know, the others, the other stuff was just stuff that we were writing, and we knew that was good. But there was, it was undeniable that when we did the demos for those two songs, it was like, oh shit,
Hmm.
this could be big. There's
Right.
no guarantee, obviously, but we had a feeling in our gut that these two songs were kind of the I don't know, the catalyst for everything that's been in the last 20 years, and we weren't wrong. It's they're two songs off that record that have stood the test of time. They haven't really ever left the set list.
Hmm.
And yeah, just very special songs, special moments, special album. But that whole period was, it was we went into it kind of not really knowing what we were doing. There was a naiveness to it, a fearlessness to it. But I think that's kind of what makes the album as good and as special as it is. We just kind of we were young dudes that were ready to take on the world,
Right.
and we weren't afraid to kind of say it or show it. And
Right.
that's exactly what we did.
Did you guys have any like thoughts when you were especially going with those two songs as bangers they were, because the album was so metal, right, and heavy, and you guys had such a
Mhm.
mixture of like thrash and just classic heavy metal, but then also like kind of these more like emotional, like emo-y kind of scene bangers thrown in, and that wasn't something that like many bands were doing,
Yeah.
meanwhile doing successfully. Was there ever like any doubt in your guys' mind of like, does this all like work together in this time, or?
Mm. No, we kind of had that moment on Screaming Fire after dust had settled on the Poison, but at that point, we had no fan base, we had no anything. We
Right.
were just writing songs that we were excited about. We were writing songs for us, songs that we wanted to hear, and we were just like I said, there was a naivety to it. We didn't care if one song sounded like this and another song sounded like that.
Hmm.
Like we kind of didn't care, and it's something that we've kept up until the present day, really. In some description, I think on Screaming Fire it had it. You have songs like Hearts Burst into Fire and Waking the Demon.
Yeah.
on Fever, you've got songs like, Your Betrayal and Begging for Mercy, and then a song like Bittersweet Memory. We've never been afraid to just kind of write songs,
Right.
and care what people think. We don't really want to fit into what people think we should do. It's not something the Bullet's ever done, and it's done us all right this far.
Right. What was the pivotal moment like for the Poison? Was it like Hand of Blood coming out, or was it actually Tears Don't Fall that kind of made you like was like, oh, this is bigger?
It was a combination of a bunch of stuff. I remember when we did our first Brixton,
Hmm.
which the DVD Live at Brixton DVD was out, and that was actually pre Tears Don't Fall being a single. The Poison had just come out,
Right.
but that was prior to these songs being released as singles, which doesn't
Mm.
sound like a big deal now, but back 20 years ago, it was a thing.
Right.
It was a song that you used to propel yourself to that next level. Um, and there was no streaming and stuff, you know what I mean? So like singles was a thing. So I think it was kind of selling out Brixton and the whole UK and European tour off the back of us dropping a debut album. That was kind of the major turning point when we knew like shit, something is this is undeniable now. I don't know what we've done or how we've done it,
Right.
but everyone seems to be on board, and then we managed to kind of sell out the UK tour and the European tour and headline Brixton off the back of the debut release, and then Tears came, and then it just fucking just went crazy everywhere.
Right. Was there an inherent like pressure when you guys were going through that time too? Because you guys, it's so especially a band coming in having a debut that's that successful, and then it's like
Yeah.
instantly, what does the world want from us? How do we,
Mhm.
go up? How do we go further and make it crazier for the next one? Did you guys have that pressure, or were you kind of just like make bangers and hope?
No, we just took it on our stride, and we tried to approach it as the same as we did with the Poison, and as difficult as that was. I think the hardest thing about that time was just basically going from a local band playing local shows now and again to touring the planet numerous times, supporting the biggest acts in the world, and having no coaching or training for that moment.
Right.
It was a baptism by fire, that whole 2 year cycle, and it was incredible, and the memories are beyond whatever I thought we would achieve. But it did come at a cost of physical and mental kind
Mm.
of pain. So we did pay the price for it, but thankfully we managed to kind of hold it together somewhat for the next one, and then we kind of knew how we should be then. We were kind of just learning as on the job, so to speak. We had no
Mm.
indication that it was going to blow up as soon as it did, and we went from being a local band in a little town in Bridgend to playing pubs now and again
Right.
to
Right.
touring with Metallica, Maiden, Guns N' Roses, Ozzy, and selling out the biggest rooms in Europe
Right.
immediately. It was mad. It was a mad time.
Well, that's something so special
But
too about that age of music, which again, every band in it is their own unique sound within it, but like the age of kind of early melodic metalcore or whatever people kind of might title it as, where there was bands like you guys, Kill Switch, All That Remains, a bunch of, and Trivium, of course, doing all these really cool sounds and blending, heavy metal with melodic death metal with, bigger choruses that were catchy. And that it was just such a unique time because it was the first time all these bands were doing that and doing it in their own unique ways and seeing how crazy that grew, which saddens me now because bands don't really like. I'm a 5/7/8 dude, man, all day. 5/7/8 riffs are like when I hear third harmonies, I'm done. I'm good, even
yeah,
20 years later, and it just doesn't really happen anymore. And I get why, because that era after the initial bands you guys included in that like did it very well. A bunch of
mhm,
other bands came after and flooded it, flooded it
yeah,
with those
yeah,
types of riffs, and it just. But then it's like, what happened? They're all gone 20 years later. It's weird to see.
yeah. But that's what happens though, dude. It's not just kind of that era of heavy metal. It's like it's cycles,
Yeah.
And I think coming to this 20-year point now for us, it feels like it's starting to become cool again. That's the right word.
Oh yeah.
I think that that there's a cycle of styles of music, and it feels like a prediction here. I think metalcore is going to be is going to have a rebirth in the next kind of
Mm.
12 to 24 months, and it's going to have a resurgence, and it's going to be a bunch of new bands that are kind of jumping on that kind of vibe that kind of ourselves and Trivium and Killswitch were doing 20 years ago. You know what I mean? And we've already been starting to write for the next album, whenever that may be. We don't really know when, but we have started writing. And, for whatever reason, it's coming out of us now. And I don't know why that is, but yeah, that kind of more 2005 metalcore Bullet for My Valentine is rearing its fucking raw, ugly head again in the demo session. So yeah, and we kind of were like, we were a bit freaked out by it at first because we spent the last 20 years and the last 7, 8 albums not distancing ourselves from it, but trying to evolve
Right. Yeah.
musically and not trying to regurgitate the same shit.
Hmm.
But it feels like the time is right, especially after the announcement of this tour, that people want it. And
Yes.
maybe the time is right to revisit kind of that kind of side of us and not be afraid to kind of do that again.
Well, yeah,
But
because
we'll see, we'll see how it
especially
goes.
especially that era, and like you mentioned, like that era is that angsty, just raw energy, sick fucking riffs, random shredding solos everyone was throwing out that were just sick, and huge choruses. And there's something so special about that rawness of that era, where it wasn't, every band, of course, was thinking about their craft, but I mean, it was more just do it. Do the thing instead
Yeah,
of worrying about, oh, is this part like super, go with this or this or this. It's just, okay, sounds sick, great. Like let's keep the train going. So yeah, a lot of bands, especially now, like I just dying wish, even like bleed from within a few bands that are kind of like still going with that, like 578, as I'm going to keep calling it, the 578 classic sound, drop C, and it's fun to hear the revival, especially now with like the new metal revival, and all the bands are going back now, and it's fun like seeing on TikTok these kids growing up and they're like, who's Deftones, and who's Linkin Park,
yeah,
and it's like, oh, like this is new to the whole next generation that's growing up with this.
yeah. It is. We've kind of been around so long now that that's actually just a normality for a younger generation of music fans discovering music and heavy metal and just doing what they do, doing like what we did. Like I was discovering that when I was 13, 14 at the same time with these bands called Metallica and Slayer and
Mm,
Machine Head, and it's just a natural thing that people do. And being around 20 plus years now, that's just kind of the impact we've had. A lot of people are still discovering the band this
mm,
far down the road, and that's a beautiful thing. And hopefully, it just continues forever.
right.
And with music, it can, it can be a forever thing. So it's
Oh,
cool, man. It's cool to be part of that. It's cool to kind of leave a legacy. It's cool to feel like we've inspired a bunch of new generation of metalheads and musicians and bands that keep, Bullet and Trivium are their gateway drugs to getting into a band and getting signed and having a record deal and going on their journey. And it's cool, man. It's a weird thing. It's not something you think about. It's not something we thought about 20 years ago when we were making the Poison, that we would be a band that influences a huge part of the next generation of these bands. And
right.
it's becoming very apparent that we are every time we speak to people at shows, at meet and greets, at
Mm,
festivals. Yeah. Bullet and Trivium are we kind of not that we realized it and not that we've kind of held that to our hearts, but it's we were kind of a big deal to a lot of people as
right.
far as getting into metal music, and it's
Mhm.
only now becoming a thing that we're becoming aware of.
Yeah. When it comes to picking, and again, I don't know if it was on the Trivium team or on the Bullet team or like a collective thing, because 20-year anniversary tour is always important. It's a big deal. And you guys are sharing that, right? Like sharing that spotlight in a way, which is really sick. How did that come about? Why Bullet plus Trivium specifically, I guess, in that way?
Yeah, well, it's something that we've always wanted to do with the guys. We've always wanted to do a proper tour with Trivium. It's never happened purely because we've just been on the same trajectory and the same path, pretty much identically worldwide for 20 years.
Right.
We've always been the headliner of our own tours. We've never needed to be the support band unless some of the big boys come knocking, and it's just you take it off the bucket list.
Yeah.
So it's just never happened naturally because of both bands have just been doing their own thing.
Right.
We wanted to do something to celebrate this kind of milestone and this anniversary, but I don't think we would have done it unless we could have teamed up with a band like Trivium. So we kind of quickly worked out that Ascendancy was 2005. We just put a call into the guys and instantly they were into it. So it was really as simple as that. We just called them. They said, fuck yeah, let's go.
Right. Did you guys think, because the 2005 is a special year, had so many amazing
Yeah.
records came in, did you guys think of stacking the bill even higher with some more?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Well, yeah, we have, and we did ask a few bands, and for some reason they didn't want to join us. So
Ugh. Come on, other bands.
whether
What the fuck,
yeah,
other bands? What is this? Just because I was
yeah,
also
no,
like looking back and I'm like 2005. Okay, that's the year 2005, 2006. That's the holy shit. Some of the greatest
yeah.
music ever created.
Let me ask you a question. Like, if you could pick like a band that should join us, who would you pick?
Oh fuck, dude! If you guys got okay, Kill Switch. I listed a few because I talked about the tour. Kill Switch. Oh my god, what was the 2005 one? No, was it Alive and Just? have to go back. I forgot the years of those. A lot of people mentioned this one, which was kind of weird, but it made sense because of the album itself. Avenged with City of Evil, which was an interesting blend. I think Atreyu with The Curse came out during then, and then also fucking All That Remains was 2006, and they just did their 15. So yeah, that. But like that era. Yeah, mentioned Disturbed. Chat saying Disturbed. That would have been sick too. 10,000 Fists. But yeah, just so much amazing music.
Yeah.
Would have been.
Well, you hit the nail on the head with. I'm not gonna out the band, but you hit the nail on the head with one of them that we did ask. We did invite them to do this with us, and they didn't want to do it. So
bands, what are you doing?
there you go.
What are you doing,
there
bands?
you go, man. What can you do?
Now y'all got to wait for the 50-year anniversary, and then maybe Matt will hit y'all for doing it. Come on.
Yeah, but you know, this was prior to obviously the tour going on sale because we wanted to get it lined up before it was announced, and you know, now the tour's been announced and it's fucking done what it's done. I think they're probably kicking themselves. You know, so there we go.
Dude, every single person that grew up in that era, and I always say this, no matter which song you know, and even if you like this song or not, you know when Tears Don't Fall come on, you're going to be singing that shit. It's happening. It's you. Absolutely. You know the lyrics, the melody's hitting you. If you're trying to avoid it, you can run all you want. It's not gonna. You're not gonna escape it. You're gonna scream, "Tears Don't Fall." It's done. It's over.
Yep.
So
that's how it works, man.
It's how it works. Are there any songs like from The Poison that, because it's a big record, that even you yourself didn't think might have been as big as they became singularly as a song?
Well, I think I can't remember what the singles were. It was All These Things, Tears Not Fall, I think Suffocating Under Words of Sorrow, and I think that was it. I think it was only three.
Right.
Was it 3 releases? 4 Words was on there as well, but that was actually on our EP as well. So I don't know if that counts, but so I don't know. You know, we like I said earlier, we knew All These Things and Tears Don't Fall had something special when we were writing them, but that wasn't a guarantee that people were going to fucking like it.
Right.
We didn't know. We loved it, and we thought that, you know, the sound of it was kind of unique, and the structure was kind of cool, and the choruses were undeniable. But again, that doesn't guarantee anything. But thankfully, people dug it. But I don't know. I think it was just accepting the album as a whole. You know, and yeah, it was weird. It was just, I don't know. On paper nowadays, we probably would never write an album the same way we did The Poison. You know, we always try to make it refined and a whole piece of work.
Right.
And try and steer away from having that kind of diversity stylistically, you know. So, but maybe that's kind of what made it what it was, you know, and that's something we should have been doing since then, really, and not kind of digging our heels in. But yeah, I don't know, man. It was the right album at the right time for a lot of people. There was a lot of stars aligning as well as a bunch of luck and all that kind of stuff going on. So it was just that, you know, we were lucky.
How did the Hand of Blood? Because I forgot, it's not just Most Wanted, but it also was on Burnout. Like, how did that come about? Because especially that time, gaming plus music and having a song on a soundtrack was a ginormous thing for so many bands, of going like, holy shit, like this is a whole new audience that might have never heard us. Like, how did that come about for you guys?
I honestly wish I could tell you. It was a long time ago now, and it was just things that I think just the hype of the band and the sound of the band, it just kind of fit a lot of things like your Maddens and your Need for Speeds and stuff like that, you know. And I think they wanted more heavier stuff because back then a lot of the soundtracks were dominated by rock and metal bands, you know what I mean? It was a thing that was
good times.
Quite normal.
Yes.
yeah, and so I don't know. I guess being on a major label helped, and having a good team behind us from an early stage in our career to help get on those platforms, really, you know.
Right.
They were worth their weight in gold. That kind of moment was, you know, for a band that's starting out, having a moment like that on multiple platforms and multiple huge kind of games was massive for us. You know, it really did help get our sound out to the world quicker than we could have.
Did you ever
social media back then or any of that shit, you know? So that kind of stuff was like mega.
Did you ever play any of those games just for the little just that second satisfaction of being like, oh shit, it's in here. I gotta see what this is about.
Yeah, Need for Speed was one of my favorite games when I was growing up, and yeah, every time, you know, it would just randomly come on the song list as you're playing through. It's kind of like
always a higher score if you got Hand of Blood thrown on there. It's
of course, yeah. That was always kind of a cool moment, you know, to kind of have that. Yeah, kind of cool.
Has that like even because you have kids now, right? Now, so it's like, has that like just gone to the next generation? Like, do your kids play any of those games or old school games and hear that and go like, whoa, what is?
No, we haven't. Well, my oldest is 13 and my youngest is 16 months, so there's a bit of an age gap. But but Evan, my oldest, he's kind of into his video games. He's kind of progressed onto kind of the more harder stuff now, like your Call of Duties and stuff, even though he's only like just about to turn 14, but who cares? But yeah, he was Minecraft and Roblox and all that shit, which is something that blew my mind because I that wasn't part of my growing up.
I know all about Minecraft,
Yeah,
man. I just had
I
Clown and
know, man.
we talked about Minecraft for a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's watching it. He should be in bed now, but I think he's watching upstairs on his laptop, and he watches you every morning on this dining table when we have breakfast before school. So give my son Evan a shout out if you
Oh,
wouldn't
that's
mind, mate.
awesome, Evan. You're awesome, yo. That's so
Yeah, man.
cool, yo. See, that's because
Yeah, he's a big fan, bro.
that's trippy for me because I grew up listening to bands and awesome musicians like you and a bunch of other people, and then they tell me like their kids see me do something stupid on in the internet, and I'm like, that's such a weird like link, but
Yeah, I'm
it's
sure it is. Yeah, yeah.
but that's so awesome. Yeah, that's so awesome. Yeah, Evan, your dad's dope, and definitely go play Need for Speed. If yes, that's it's worth
Yeah.
it. You guys.
I don't know if you saw as well, Nick. Sorry, like one more thing. Like I don't know if you saw online. There was a YouTube. We played London Roundhouse last March, coming up to a year ago now. And I don't know if you saw the video, but he came up and played "Don't Need You" on the guitar. So we give him the guitar and he plays, and I just sing.
That's
So
sick.
he's a rad guitar player, man. He's it's in his blood. He's potentially going to be a big rock star.
Hell yeah. And does he have any favorite bands right now going on?
Oh yeah, he loves all kind of the harder stuff. Like I like Slipknot stuff, like all the kind of my generation stuff. But he's really into Bad Omen, Spirit Box, Alpha Wolf, that kind of new breed of stuff.
That's great. It's yeah. Just the evolution of music is so well because even nowadays, that's again to a lot of people consider like that's modern metalcore, right? Which again, you
Yeah,
take that and then you try to compare it to what was going on in 2005. It's like such a different sound. It's nowadays it's more
hmm
production based, it's more synth based and all of that versus before it was riffs, big guitars, solos, huge choruses, drums and bass. you know?
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
wild how that's the modern day of what metalcore is has evolved kind of from what all that was happening in 2005, but now there's the revival like you mentioned of bands going back with that sound, and now there's like these two parallel universes of like nostalgic core and modern production core, and they can live in
yeah.
harmony in such a cool way that it's
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the one wouldn't exist without the other, and it'll just keep going in that cycle forever. It will evolve and it will change and it will develop, But every genre and every kind of generation needs each other for it to live on.
hmm.
So it's cool, man.
What about, do you have any favorites of what you've been throwing on lately, or like what's your vibe? You doing heavy, heavy, heavy? You chilling? You listen to lo-fi beats? What's your vibe, Matt?
I'm just kind of doing what Evan listens to.
Oh, sick.
He's the one that's been showing me kind of the newer stuff. But yeah, just kind of, I just go with the flow, man. I like everything from our generation, from the, still Kill Switches, Avengers, Metallica, Slayers, all that kind of stuff. But it's undeniable and impossible to avoid kind of the new breed of these bands like your Bad Omens and your Spirit Boxes. They're everywhere right now,
Yeah.
which is good. It's I kind of didn't understand it or take it in back then, but kind of what was happening to Bullet is what's happening to these guys, and it's
Right.
when you're in that moment, you don't understand it, you don't appreciate it, you're not living in the moment, you're just riding that wave. So, I just hope that these bands are enjoying themselves and trying to take it in, because that whole period and era of Bullet, it just went by in a flash and we just didn't take it in at all. It was just crazy.
Right.
So if there's any words of advice from a veteran metalhead to the new breed is that, if it's kicking off, just try and embrace it and enjoy the moment because it's gone. Here I am 20 years later from our debut, and it's blowing my mind how quick that time has gone, and you can never get it back. And nothing's as ever as special either as that time,
Right.
when it's all kicking off and it's new and everything's like 20 years later, stuff can become kind of normalized.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And so yeah, I wish that, I just kind of took it in and stood there and absorbed it a bit more. But, I think any band in our position that's going through the same, you're just riding the wave and you're just getting through tour and just doing it.
Right. I mean, I gotta give you guys, because it's very rare that there's a band. First of all, still going. Like, claps to that, because most
Yeah.
bands everyone is done with each other. They're like, I've
Yeah.
sat in a van with
Yeah.
you or tour bus with you too long. Everyone else get out of my face. I'm done with this. We did the thing. Cool. Move on with our lives. So congrats that you guys
Yeah.
have been going for as long as you have, but also being able to not just evolve the band, but also have music that connected generationally. You know what I mean? With albums like
Yeah.
The Poison and everything that followed with that, so that there's the new generation listening to the, you know, Poison and all that, getting into it the first time. But then you guys are still evolved, especially I gotta give you mad props. That the self-titled, man, is fucking sick.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
is dope, man. And hearing a lot of, I felt like that album for you guys was like a culmination of Bullet, right? Like everything you guys have done. I had that old school angst, you know, I had the more modern, more polished, produced stuff you guys have been doing too in this beautiful package. And listening to that gave me nostalgia, but also made me feel like I was listening to something that was forward moving, very modern. And again, as a person that grew up with that whole generation of music, like it was fucking killer, man. All the, and I'm
Cool.
imagining,
Thank you.
what made you guys want to go that direction after so many years? I guess like the, I don't want to just
It
blanket it
just,
as heavy, because it's not just here's heavy record. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's,
yeah,
yeah, it's more than that.
yeah. Well, we were just pulling from every kind of album and experience that we'd had over the last, what, 17, 18 years at that point when we made it. You know, we knew kind of our strengths. We knew not our weaknesses, but we knew what stuff that had worked and didn't work. And we just felt like reinvigorated, you know, like we had our kind of experimental phase on Gravity, and I got a lot of stuff out of my system. And I think doing that allowed me to
Mm-hmm.
just do what I wanted to do again. But this is just the way I wanted to do it. You know, it was just, you know, at that point, we'd been a band a very long time, and we just drew from the experience of being that band, being songwriters, having a fan base, knowing what they want to hear, but at the same time pleasing us. You know, we never
Yeah.
write for the fans. We never kind of please anyone before ourselves. And it was just an album that we wanted to make.
Right.
It wasn't forced. It wasn't, you know, we didn't even speak about how we were gonna. We just got in rooms and we did it. And it was during COVID as well, so it was a bit weird. But maybe that added to it. You know, we were
Right.
writing individually. I was the only one that could go to the producer studio to record a lot of the stuff because of like social distancing laws and all that shit. It was
Mm-hmm.
fucking weird. But yeah, no, I just wanted to make something heavy, and I wanted to make something interesting. I wanted to make an album that was kind of at that point everything the Bullet for My Valentine was and stood for, and to give us that platform for this next one to do whatever the fuck we want,
Right.
you know. And no one's going to be surprised anymore. No one's going to be shocked, and we've kind of ticked all those boxes. And you know, it just leaves the door open wide to just be as weird and as heavy and as wonderful as we want to be, without
Weird,
any
heavy,
fear of
wonderful.
writing, you
I
know.
love those
Yeah,
words
man.
next to each other. Weird, heavy, and wonderful. It's well,
Yeah. No,
also,
you know, I'm really proud of that one. You know, I'm proud of every record, but I agree, you know, I'm glad you said what you've just said, and that makes me feel nice. You know, we put a lot of effort into it, and I'm very proud of that record. I think it kind of set the bar for more contemporary metal bands to kind of beat, you know.
yeah.
And
Well,
I hope that doesn't come across like egotistical or nothing, but I think, you know, the sound of it, the quality of the songs, the diversity in the
yeah.
song. It's not just one song regurgitated three times.
Right.
You know, every song is an individual kind of entity in itself, you know, and
Yeah.
that's something that worked fucking hard on to make sure that was the case, you know.
Dude, I can see that, and especially again as so many metal fans nowadays too. When there's bands that do their thing, and then so many bands say this is our heaviest yet. You know what I mean? Like it's like a meme at this
Yeah.
point. It's always like the skepticism. Even, and I remember even checking out like the Knives. You know, you guys have still been heavy and do your stuff, right? I'm like, okay, they're saying like this is like we're going, and I'm like, all right, I love my Bullet. We're gonna see though, you know, because I've been done dirty too many times by bands, you know, at this point, and that's what, as a metal fan, especially in this generation, like everyone's just trying to, you know, out heavy and whatnot each other. I remember putting that on. I was just like, all right, guys, they did the thing, like
Yeah.
banger, heavy,
Yeah, you know, I
aggressive.
think, you know, to come out with the first two singles, Knives and Parasite, that's kind of a statement
Yeah.
like of intent, you know, and that's kind of what we were trying to do. We were trying to be like, you know what, people ain't going to expect this. We took a lot of shit off the last record, and I think unfairly, just because it wasn't what people thought they were going to hear.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means you need to listen to it for what it is, you know. And there's a lot of bullshit out there with people that don't care, and that's fine. And it didn't upset us or anything, but it was like, you know what, this time round, I'm gonna sucker punch a lot of motherfuckers, you know. So it felt good for it to come out, and then to have the people like yourself. I remember watching your reaction video to it, and I was like, yes, we got him.
You got
You
the
know, we got him.
metalcore poser dude that wants some drop Omegle 9 string breakdowns, dude. I was stoked again because I heard all of Bullet in it within the whole album, right? I was like, okay, that's the culmination. Following you guys for 20 years, like, yep, that's beautiful, and it's an evolution, which is I feel like
Yeah,
really healthy and cool because I love the chill songs on the chill in quotations songs on the record just as much as the heavy stuff. I'm like, okay, it's nostalgic, it evolves, and it feels something that's very special that a lot of bands can't ace, that have been going on for a while.
yeah,
And there's so many bands, and I love the greats, much respect to all of them, that they do the thing, they kind of evolve, and then they release stuff, and you kind of have that feeling of like, yeah, okay, they kind of it's just an album, like they threw out the record.
yeah. They're just going through the motions. That's what it feels like for a lot of bands. I have the same thing, So that's my worst fear is like becoming stale
Hmm.
and not like evolving and not surprising people and not even pissing people off. I like people pissing people off. It just makes
It's
I'm doing something right. If I can make people fucking smile and bang their heads and fucking hate me at the same time, I've done something right. You know what I mean? So,
Well, that's
but
something
yeah,
that's
it's like,
important, man. When because it's
it is.
people
Yeah,
care, as much as I'm not a fan of people just being pieces of shit for no reason and dicks to other people, right? But it's like
exactly.
that same thing. Even like I always relate it to like the gaming world. Like E3 comes along or something like big games, and like there's always the conversations of people, shit talking, but also loving it, and that's the thing that really makes it into a bigger
Yeah,
thing. It's excitement.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
people care. And nothing makes me more sad than seeing a band where they release a record and they were like, and people are like, oh, there's a record out. I'm like, oh no, what happened? It's like, at least
yeah,
we at least say it's like shit, like some kind of conversation going. But when it's just here's the record and no one really says anything or cares, and the community's
yeah,
given up at that point, you know what I mean? It's sad to see when that happens to
yeah,
bands.
yeah. It is. It is. So what Bullet are doing and what we've done is just, we're not trying to kind of reinvent the wheel every album, but we're just trying to develop and keep people on their toes and keep our creative minds stimulated.
Hmm.
Like we could write another two Tears Don't Falls and all these things in our sleep. You know what I mean? It's like, but
Right.
we're not interested in that. We want to evolve. We want to keep people on their toes and
I was gonna ask, have you
keep
guys?
themselves stimulated.
Because I remember when I saw Tears Don't Fall come out part two, I was like, oh, like that's because that's a risky move always because no one
Oh
can
yeah.
ever replace the one in anything they do in any sequel in any trilogy. The one will always be the one. And I remember listening to that. I was like, I love how you guys did develop it because it had the sound nostalgia. It had like the fun. Here we go again. Which you don't really
Yeah.
expect. And I was like,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was it was a bold move, but at that point in our career as well, we were kind of that's kind of where we felt we were. We felt cocky, confident, but also in this weird kind of middle ground of like where are we going? I think that was kind of the point where the only point in Bullet's kind of career where I think things were shaky
right,
creatively. But I think it was because like the ascendancy of the band and the three albums that had come before were just so massive and like it was just wild, and all of a sudden you're asked to do it again, and it was like
right.
fuck. And that was the one point in the band's career where things did get a bit sticky and a bit kind of shaky,
Gotcha.
for lots of different reasons. But we kind of weathered the storm, got through it, and I think from Gravity, almost regardless of what some people think of that record, I think that was the start of the rebirth of
Hmm.
the band's confidence and creativity taken to the next level, and
Right,
yeah, man. So like it's exciting times, man. Like I said, there's nothing that Bullet can do now that will take people by surprise. And
right,
I don't know why, but there's something about that which is so comforting to me. That it means probably because it means I can just do what the fuck I want
right.
without thinking about what people are going to say or care.
Right,
You
just
know,
right. And
and,
if
and
bangers
as a
come,
creative and as a songwriter, that's it's so liberating to have that freedom now and not to be pigeonholed and having to think you have to write a certain way.
mm.
It's such a beautiful feeling.
Yeah, I have to ask because we're talking about part twos. Have you guys ever even jokingly thought of a song for a part two, or entertained it enough that you even started a project, like in Cubase or Pro Tools, where you even said the song part two to mess around? Has there ever been moment?
But, there's not, Nick. No.
No.
There's not yet. No, we kind of obviously had that moment with Tears Part Two or whatever, but we didn't do that as a piss take. I thought,
Mm.
let's try and, like you said, do it justice. Let's try and write
Yeah.
a fucking great song which has the spirit and the DNA of the original. And I
Mm.
think we did it.
Right.
But But yeah, but anyways, that's history. We're
Yes.
obviously looking forward to 2025 and this Poison Descendancy run, and the new stuff that's coming out already in the writing sessions is pretty fucking exciting. So
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
man. On we go, it's like it doesn't stop. We're having this one moment next year where we can, celebrate, a really big moment for us, and an album which is so important to us and for the metal community. And,
Mhm.
that's going to set us up for 2026 when we drop this new album then.
Do you have any
And
songs that
off
you're
we go again.
dreading to play from the record that you go back and you're like, fuck.
Not dreading, but there's a reason why you don't put songs in a set list. It's because
That's true.
they're just not as strong as others. And when you have maybe a 12, 13 track album, probably like 5, 6, that probably were just kind of written to fill
Fit
the
right.
gaps with the best intentions. Like, we never write fillers. We try not to. We always try to write
Mhm.
the best shit we can, even on an album, even the B-sides, everything. We don't release anything unless we're happy with it.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's going to be challenging. It's a lot of information to go and revisit.
Yeah.
But we just got to kind of get locked in a room for a couple of weeks, and I'm sure shit will just do its thing. We've been doing it a while now, so I think we'll be all right.
Do you have any songs from any album that you as a writer like are like that song is a little underrated? That song should have been given a bit more love for what it was. Any for you that are like a personal favorite?
Well, I have many.
Oh, you have many. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. There's always those things where those once the opportunity is gone, it's gone. You can never
Right.
do it. I think there's been a bunch of stuff that maybe should have been released on every album really that wasn't, but you can't release them all. You have to go with your gut and
Hmm.
and trust your instincts and go with your A&R guys and your label and management, and everyone has their little input.
Right.
But I think one song that could have been really big for us was "A Place Where You Belong" off Fever.
Yeah.
I think that maybe should have had a moment in the spotlight, and
Yeah.
who knows what would have happened with that? Maybe fuck all, but maybe it would have been incredible. So I don't know, but
That
it's still there, still exists, it's still on the records. People can still listen to it.
that's a
But
catchy
it's always nice
summer
when
like
yeah,
summer vibe
it's got,
song.
it's
Yeah.
got so many elements to it as well. It's Bullet at its most kind of brave,
Mm.
and it's like 12-string acoustics, so
Yeah.
dual solos, heavy vocals,
Right.
like a ballad, but not. So yeah, I don't know. If people haven't heard that song, go give it a spin tonight and get those streaming numbers up for us.
Get
Nice.
this. Get the, you. Yeah. Not that I don't think you guys. Yeah. Not that they need them. They're doing. Y'all are doing great. But go throw on some place don't belong, dude. It's so fun to see because your guys' discography is quite big. You know what I mean? Like you guys take time and
Yeah,
craft albums, and I guess it's an album every what, like on average 3 years or something like that for you guys.
yeah, 2 to 3 years usually, something
Yeah.
like that.
And
Going to be a bit longer on this one because of the next year's touring is going to put a kind of
mm,
stop to when we would have released an album. But obviously, we're still going to be doing it this year as much as possible, and hopefully releasing all the singles whilst we're on that tour as well. So you're going to get old and new at the same time, which is going to be pretty
ooh,
cool.
you guys write on the road at all or no?
Yeah, didn't not properly. We don't have like a touring rig or anything, but we just document ideas and riffs and kind of basic stuff, which we collect, and then when we have time at home and have the energy and the headspace is good, we'll kind of get together and start thrashing it out, which is kind of what we've been doing now for the last 4 weeks. Just
Right.
getting together like twice a week. Everyone comes to mine. I go to Wales, go to Jace's. We've just kind of been doing the rounds at each other's houses, just documenting ideas really and starting the process.
Mhm.
And yes, it's been really like so far so good. I don't think there's ever been so much strong stuff at such an early point. We're not going to be releasing an album for probably another 2 years yet.
Right.
It
Yeah.
comes out early 26. So it's good. I think the more stuff we write, the better. It just gives us that more choice and the ability to refine and be picky and not rush it, which is kind of one of the key elements from the last album because of the COVID and stuff. We just
Right.
had all the time in the world to write it and record it. And I think that was as difficult a process as it was because of that. The album massively benefited from it
Right.
because I wrote some of the songs like 3 times.
Gotcha.
Whereas if we hadn't had that time and tours were booked and then a release date was done, maybe we wouldn't have ended up as strong as it did.
Mm-hmm. Well, because even with that record, and then it was banger, and then I love that you guys did deluxe. And deluxe usually people always assume okay, like random B sides, like let's just throw them out.
Mhm.
And here's some of those songs. I was like, fuck, I kind of wish some of those were on the like just when you guys released the main record because it was just like
Yeah.
banging. They had that single big hit quality to them too, which was great because then you guys could expand the content. Actually, I'm sure it was healthier for just like a marketing perspective too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys.
Yeah, there was conversations about those songs of why they weren't on the main record and why a couple of them weren't actually lead singles, but we just feel like we wanted to make an album which was what it was, like dark and
Dark.
fierce. And I felt like these songs diluted
Hmm,
the entirety of it, you know.
gotcha.
But like I said, we wouldn't have released them if we weren't happy with them in the first place. But yeah, there's some good shit there, you know.
Yeah, dude. Well, I get it. Hearing that and hearing what you guys are going towards, and of course, you guys are announced. You announced already, just 5 days UK for the tour, right? And I know
Yeah,
people are like,
yeah,
you guys are going every. It's the big one, you know. It's everyone chill. It's not just if you live in the UK,
yeah.
which is very exciting. How big of the world are we talking? Are we talking world? We talking some of the world? What are you thinking here that you can
Yeah,
say?
the majority of it. Yeah, we're going from January to December, so put it that way.
Okay,
It's a long one.
it's a long one.
But yeah, we're still getting people whinging at us on socials. It's like, fuck, how many times do we have to say it? We're doing things incrementally,
Yeah,
and we will probably be coming to a town near you at some point in 2025. So please just chill. You
just
know, we've got a plan, and we're sticking to it. And it's very rare that we have a plan that's so thorough.
mm,
So yeah, people be patient. There's news coming in less than 2 weeks for a certain territory,
right.
and then on to the
Ooh.
next we go a month later. So
Certain
it's all
territory.
good, people. Chill.
It's all,
It's coming.
y'all chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna be singing, screaming, tears don't fall in person soon. All right, don't worry about it. Y'all can calm it down.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's
Coming.
you guys. Do you guys have to make the crowd sign waivers because of how hard that pit's gonna fucking go, or no? No waivers needed.
No waivers.
No
Fuck
waivers.
waivers.
That's, I mean, I can only imagine because it must be so sick for you guys too because you see the generation that grew up with you guys, and then you also probably see their kids now come to the shows. Like that was that.
Like yeah, we see three generations at most shows now.
Jeez.
You know, yeah, we see the grandparents, their kids, and now their kids. You know, like 20 years is a long time as far as a generation goes. You know, if someone was 40 when they got into Bullet, they're
Right.
like in their 60s now. You know, it's like whoa.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so like multi-generational, man. We see like three generations at most shows and most meet and greets as well. We see the granddad, the son, and then the baby son.
That's so
Crazy.
cool.
So,
That
yeah, it's
must
pretty
be
fucking sick.
wild to hear. Jesus. What song from the Poison do you think is gonna? I mean, it's Tears is huge, but like, what song do you think from the Poison
Yeah.
is gonna be the one where you just done, just shit goes wild?
I think probably the opener of Her Voice Resides after that instrumental intro. I think it's gonna go fucking ballistic on that opening track.
Yeah.
As it should. You know, there's no more time to kind of go for the throat of the crowd when they're at their most kind of anticipated and have the adrenaline and they're fresh and they haven't had to have their ears pounded in for an hour and 20 minutes to that point. So yeah, so no, it's going to be good, man.
How-
It's going to be really, really
Well,
good.
you guys. So Poison's out. How long is Ascendancy? Is it also an hour? It's like around there.
It's about 55 minutes, I think.
Okay. That's
So we're going to be doing the albums, but we're also going to be playing a bunch of songs at the end as well, both bands, you know. I think both albums come in under an hour, and then we're going to be playing like 15, 20 minutes of bangers after that as well. So
oh sick. Okay, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Because
So
it
we're not
was
just going to like play the album and then just like see you later. You know, we're going to be sticking around, playing stuff. You know, it's yeah. There's no need to rush off.
no need to rush off, dude. Because yeah,
No need to rush off.
I'm sure you guys will do fun stuff too. I know with Trivians because I loved seeing when Matt came and did Tears Don't Fall with you guys live, and if that was an indicator too of I love that little thrown in there of I don't know if you guys did that on purpose as a little Easter egg, like hey, by the way, this is
Yeah. At that point, we already knew what was going on, and the tours were already being booked at that point. So
Right.
we just so happened that the last show of the tour was in Orlando, and the guys obviously live there, and they came down, and we thought, let's go, let's get this bitch cooking, you know. So it was good, man.
That's
Yeah, and it went down really well. You know, it's always like singing with another band as a guest is the most terrifying thing you can, and regardless of like how much experience you have of being on a stage or in a band. When you like, oh, but you've done it a few times lately, haven't you? You've just jumped on a stage. and
Dude, well,
grabbed the
because they
mic.
asked me the day of, and they're like, "Yo, Nick," and I'm like, "Look, guys, I don't care about embarrassing myself. I've done it for 10 years on the internet. this is you guys now. If you wanna accept what's gonna happen
Yeah.
here, I'm vibing with it. But it's usually like it's just fun and lighthearted, and people are just like they're just like stoked. They
Yeah.
just want to see fun shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, I can imagine
Yeah,
it's
man.
stressful.
It's a pretty daunting experience, but he came up and he did it justice, and yeah, crowd went wild, man. Like it was a sold out show, like 3,500 people. It was the wildest American show we've ever done it
Jeez.
just felt like Bullet is fucking alive and kicking again, it's not
Right.
something that's ever kind of gone away, but there was something about that show which was like, oh shit.
Right. Yeah.
It just feels like, yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's that time thing and that cycle thing, but yeah,
Right.
people are loving the band right now, and yeah, bringing this tour to town is gonna be big, man.
Well, if you guys
Gonna be fucking
come
big.
to Orlando and you need me to ruin one of the songs on guitar, let me know, bro. I got you anytime. I
You're
got
in.
you.
You're in. Let's go.
Do you have
Any
like,
excuse for me not to play the guitar and grab the mic and have some fun, I'm down.
dude? I got you.
All
I
right,
know
let's
my
go.
way around the 5-7-8 drop Cs. Don't you worry,
Let's
Matt.
do it.
I will not disappoint. All right, homie.
I know, man. You got this. It's fine.
I
Let's
got
do
you.
it.
Do you have like ever like a dream if you could and they were like in town, a dream guest to come play, and which song would you have them come play with you live? If you could. Any musician in the world. Vocals, guitar, drums, whatever.
Ooh. Oh, I don't know. There's a few. I'd probably be really predictable and let the 16-year-old Matt answer that question, and
Hmm.
probably having like James Hetfield come up and play Army of Noise would be
Oh, that'd
pretty
be
fucking
hard.
sick.
That'd be
You know,
hard.
yeah, that would be good. That song, that's a song that should have been on a Metallica album at some point. But you know, it's not. It's on the Bullet one, so I'll take that. But just the stylist. Venom was a lot of songs on Venom were kind of we had that was kind of the spirit of going into that record. It was like let's
Hmm.
coming off the back of Temper Temper. It's like let's do some shit, man.
Yeah.
Let's get the right hand going. Let's move. Let's show people what we're about.
Right, right.
And I think that song Army of Noise was yeah, it could have been a great Metallica song.
Could have been a great Metallica. Well, that's something too with the Bullet and like again that era. Like you guys have this inherent like angsty energy, right? Like that has trailed through the albums as a whole too, and I think people connect with that in such like a special way that is just it feels empowering and it just feels so fucking cool that even if it's not like a heavy track, it still has that like early energy. Like it has that emotion to it that people can connect in a way where not a lot of bands can do that and connect, no matter how they can write the craziest deathcore song and it won't have that
Yeah,
energy. It's a different type of energy. It has nothing to do with heaviness that
yeah,
you guys have, and something again I love about what you guys have done for so many years, because it's hard to find that in music.
yeah. I mean, some people as songwriters have that in abundance, and some people will never get there. It's a soul thing,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good you are technically on a guitar or on a drum kit, and as a band, writing the most technical, weird, impressive shit. If it's got no soul and doesn't connect with people emotionally, then it fucking means nothing. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? That's something that I've always tried to kind of put into our songs is the soul.
Yeah.
And that's you can't blag that. That's
Yeah.
something you either do or you don't. You know what I mean? So yeah,
There's
I'm
like
thankful that a
8-year-olds
lot of
that
people
can
connect with it.
outshred everyone nowadays anyway, so it doesn't even
Yeah,
matter how
exactly.
technical it is.
Yeah,
It's
it doesn't matter. That's great and good for you if that's you. You know what I mean? And anyone that learns an instrument and becomes a master at it, fucking big respect to you. I get it. You know what I mean?
right.
But songwriting is a different thing.
Oh yeah.
And if I think the best way to get a most successful song is to connect with that pair of ears that's listening to you in the headphones or in a
Oh,
car or so that's what I'm always aware of when I'm writing songs. It's like I want to make sure that when people hear this they connect,
Yeah.
and it's not easy. Some of the time you get it, some of the times you don't, but it's something that I'll always strive for when I'm writing the songs. The technicality and all that side is one thing, and that's fun,
hmm
but putting the soul of the emotion into it is something that you can't blag, really. You need to put it in or not.
For the, do you have anyone like in your family or even like your son Evan, like do you send to that you're writing songs and you give them a little like, hey, like what's your thoughts? Like do you have any like checks like that? Like I know you're probably confident enough and you got, if you hey, it's a banger, it's a banger. But do you have any people around you that you like show them some demos just to like kind of test the waters a bit, because they won't
Yeah,
like filter.
of course. Yeah, of course. I think, historically it's always been like my parents, my sisters, my brother-in-laws, my wife.
Mhm.
And as Evan's been getting older and into the scene, you know, like I was literally when I did the school run with him yesterday, you know, driving to school in the car, and I put on the song that I recorded at Padge's last weekend on the system while we were driving. I said, "Hey, what do you think?" And he was like, "Yeah, this is the shit."
Is he brutally honest?
Yeah.
Like, do you ever get any like where you're just like so stoked, and then he's like, "Yeah," and you're just like, "Okay, what is this?"
No, haven't had any of those moments yet, you know, and you know, he can be brutally honest with me, but no, he's got a kind of a good radar of what he thinks is cool, you know.
Right. That's awesome, man.
So yeah, it's good. You know, I have a group of friends and family that, you know, it's always nice to get their feedback. It doesn't mean I'm gonna fucking listen to it
Oh, yeah.
because you know I'll just do my thing anyway. But it's always nice when you hear back from someone that, you know, they just say, yeah, you're on the right path here, you know.
That's awesome. Well, dude, again, I'm so stoked for the tour again. The Bullet for My Valentine Trivium Ascendancy, the Poison Descendancy tour, guys. Is it sold out already? I was gonna say go get tickets. I think it's already.
The 5 dates in the UK, I think we're on like 96% sold.
Go.
So
Chat.
yeah.
Jesus. I
And
can't go to that. So you better if you live.
10 months to go as well. So like, yeah, it's definitely going to go. Like Cardiff's already sold out. So big up the Welsh Massive.
Jesus.
Good on you. But yeah, it's gone ballistic, dude. I'm so happy. I'm so so proud of what us and Trivium have done with this. You know, people are loving it. People are on board. They're buying the tickets, and you know, to kind of have a sold out UK leg in huge arenas 10 months in advance is like fucking blow them up. You know, it's really nice. So thank you everybody watching. If you bought a ticket out there, thank you so much, man. It's so cool.
They're somewhere. They're not on screen, but they're somewhere around here. There you go, chat. Yeah, they're stoked. Yes, guys, go get tickets. Show the homies the love. I'm so stoked for whatever you guys throw in X-Bullet. You know, slide in the DMs when you guys got some stuff rolling out, and I'll be sitting there going, oh my goodness. I'll be stoked. So Matt, thank you so much again, everyone. Matt Tuck of Bullet for My Valentine. Check out the tour. Check out their last record, and just go scream "Tears Don't Fall" in, I don't know, like a supermarket. Why not? It's sick. Just keep spreading it. Keep spreading it. Matt, thank you so much, dude. Have a beautiful night, man.
No worries,
Appreciate you.
Thanks, man. Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Have a good one. See you, dude.